Are you ready for your life to change or your life to end? Huh? It's one and the same, my friend. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today's the 27th of August, 2026. This is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of the four sides to us, where our slogan is allowing the body to work. Hear me out. The body's just measurable mathematical degrees of hinges, levers, and rotations. Determined by the shape and length of our bones, there's only one way the human body could ever work. There's only one way the bones connect. There's only one way the body grows by itself to be. Designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ, we're a clothing company, our five-word company name, because there truly is, always has been, and always will be, only one way the human body could ever work. It is funny though, because clothing is physically placed on our bodies. How loud can I be? The literal word of clothing, right? Anything physically placed on the human being. Here comes a person. I literally got driven out of the other location that I was in trying to film this because of the wind noise and the lawnmower and all the things surrounding. And then here we come over here, and now we've got more things happening again. So we'll see what happens when this guy rolls up. But clothing, okay? A clothing company. We are. We'll talk about it. Maybe. If we get a chance to. You know, that's why I started this video the way that I did. Rewind the tape if you'd like to. All right, the 27th of August, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main site here. This video's title, The Importance of Things Being Important. All right, let's talk about this. Keeping the crotch seam centered in pants, okay? You got a seam in the crotch. What's a crotch? Something between two things, you know? You could call it a crook, you could call it a crotch, you could call it a V, you could call it a ravine. Between the two legs, we've got two legs, evenly opposing the center line of the human body, traveling down to the feet. The feet grip arches inward and keep the body vertical, okay? The feet grip the ground and create an arch structure. Okay, this supports our whole bodies on Earth's vertical gravity pull. The center line of the human being meshes with the vertical pull to gravity. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, the jaw, all in the center line of the human being, and the jaw stabilizes the entire body. Musculature comes up to the crown of the head. It comes down to the upper ribs. It comes out to the edges of the shoulders, and it goes through the collars of our tops, okay? They need to stay centered and snug. We are a clothing company, In the Image Clothing Company, our five-word company name. Oh my gosh. With no spaces between the five words. So, keeping crotch seams centered in pants. Here's the thing. You know, we've got a thing we make as human beings we call clothing. The human body only is what it is. The bones grow to be what they are, and they're a very specific shape and length. They only mesh how they do. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly physically, mechanically operate. It's measurable mathematics. There's a neutral position to the entire human being, no matter what part of it you're talking about, okay? There's only one way the human body could, can, ever, will, has, and always just mechanically operates if it does. There's only one way. There's only one way. Even opposing musculature into the center line of the human being from left to right keeps us vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. The feet mesh down on the horizontal surface of the planet Earth before we could ever go up a hill or down a hill. You got to start neutral before you could ever lift the foot up or point the foot down, dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. You got to start neutral in the term zero drop in any brand of shoe. These are Zero Shoes branded boots here, the Ridgeway models, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of brand you're using if it's a good one. for your feet. When it comes to shoes, all right, the body gets into chronic patterns of working. We live in a right-handed world. 85% to 90%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed, but there's two sides to the body. It's two sides to a center, to a vertical pull to gravity. There's only one way the human body has ever worked. You place clothing on it. One of the things is pants. Keeping crotch seams centered in pants. We give a lot of free modifications in universal clothing imbalances shipped across the entire earth in modern 2026 and going forth. We have robots that stitch our clothing. What comes with this often is things like rotated seams in clothing, okay? Collar seams in the collars of our tops. A lot of things are just damaging the body though, regardless of what it is. Pockets, zippers, buttons. But then we've got ropes we place onto the human being, like shoelaces or drawstrings. And you could tie one side over the other in a knot around the waist and twist the entire human being. It's just a knot of a rope. It's just a weave of a rope across the top of the feet in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. The only way the top of the feet are mechanically shaped, with the bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles gripping arches inward in the feet to keep us vertical. So, as we have more surrounding things happening, the thing is keeping crotch seams centered in pants. We've got two sides to the body. You've got two legs evenly opposing the center line. And if you've got pants that aren't evenly opposing the center line of your body, from left to right pant leg, with the left and right legs in the pants, you're going to have differences in the musculature's activation in your legs. We've got adduction, bringing the leg in, abduction, bringing the leg out, flexion, bringing the leg forward, extension, bringing the leg back. You've got internal rotation, rotating the leg in, external rotation, rotating the leg out, and all the functioning that you've got in the leg, it's in the leg, but it's also in both sides, and there's a center line to the body between all the functioning. There's a centered position in the leg itself, right or left. Okay. The 27th of August, 2026. This video is titled under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, keeping the crotch seams centered in pants. So what I'm saying is there's just two legs and they come up on either side of the center, and then there's a center between the two legs. And you've got to have this even opposing side, right and left or left and right, from the center of the body at the legs, so that we can just function. Okay, wow, yeah, yikes. We've got different length 5 toes. We roll evenly off the ends of within this universal human design, okay? It's a universal human design. You don't have to be religious, but the body grows by itself, and nothing happens until it does, or unless it does, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion to that, okay, whatsoever. The body just is the shape and length it is at the bones. Muscles connect directly to bones through tendons, and they pull directly in line, and that's it. So what we've got, one of the many things we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company, that can get our bodies into chronic patterning, okay? Chronic patterns of working, a misalignment, a misaligned motion. Look, you've got a pattern like this. You're walking, you're swinging your arms and you're swinging your legs forward and back as you walk, okay? It's nice even transfer of weight. But let's say you're right-handed. Oh shoot, you're in a right-handed patterning, okay? It changes how the body works throughout. If we change how the body works at all. The body's a kinetic chain, okay? Ow, yikes, wow. I'm still getting out of chronic patterning myself. The body's just bone to bone to bone, connected directly through ligaments, through the entire body. It's only what it is. It grows by itself to work. Designed in the image of God. You've got to have even opposing pant legs if you've got even opposing legs to the center of the body, okay? Keeping crotch seams centered in pants, okay? There's a seam down the center of the pants. Look at the back. Nice and centered. You just got one simple line down the back of the pants. On the front, you got a lot of stuff going on. You got a button, you got a zipper, you got this flap behind the zipper of material. You've got that stitched in before I personally cut this one out. Okay, you've got just thickness and things being offset. From the center of two legs. Okay, so keeping crotch seams centered in pants. This video is titled the 27th of August 2026 under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here. Spoken by me, Evan Strong, the founder and leader for life of In The Image Clothing Company. Okay. Clothing's placed on our bodies are placed on earth. Gravity has the same effect on our clothing that it has on our bodies. There's only one way the human body grows, by itself. It only does what it does. But if it's trying to work around something physically placed onto it, wow, it doesn't work. Bone spurs, okay, get built up in the body, and we're not in our neutral positions anymore, and there's only one neutral to the entire human being in all the ways. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever possibly physically, mechanically operate. No new information, no sales pitch, nothing we could take credit for. It grows by itself, and it always has. But if we don't understand how it works, we'll be trying to get it to, when that's not something we get to decide. You know, the body works until it dies. We have an expiration date. There's only one way it does work. The body's extremely complex. It only works how it does. But this is a big deal. The legs coming up into the hips, the core of the body, the center line of the body, Earth's vertical gravity pull, the spine coming down into the hips, the legs coming up into the hips. And what happens is we've got these offset crotch seams that are supposed to be in the direct center, but that aren't. Okay, so the legs get damaged. The feet evenly oppose the center line of the human body, but the feet have to start up at the hip. Okay. If we've got an imbalance in the pant legs and they're sitting against one inner side of one of our legs more than the other side, well, our bodies are just imbalanced. Okay, we need a centered crotch stitch in pants. This video is titled the 27th of August 2026, Keeping Crotch Stitches Centered in Pants. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you could, if you wanted to, call this In The Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification. When this is stitched in, we cut the stitch, okay? The little flap in the rear of the zipper in pants in this type of design, this just offsets it. And so now you don't have this centered crotch stitch, but it comes over and gets attached, off-centered. Okay, you cut the stitch. But anything at all. Musculature activates in the body through the nervous system, okay? The body just has this supercomputer we call the human being's brain, and it sends little signals out, electrical firings to the musculature, and it tells it to work, okay? Muscles only pull in the body, even in what seems like a push. It's an opposing muscle from a pulling closed motion to pull open. So, on the 27th of August 2026, today's date, this video is titled under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, keeping crotch stitches centered in pants. Okay, there's only one way the body works, but if we've got something pressing against the inside of one leg more than the inside of the other leg, because you've got just an imbalance in the stitch that's supposed to be in the center right between the two legs, muscle activates when it gets stimulated, okay? Sensory activation. I mean, you feel something with your fingers and you can feel it, okay? The sense of touch. The inner leg muscles of one leg will activate more if the pant material is against them more than the other side. Modern 2026, we've got pants that have imbalanced stitches. I'm serious. This is huge. This will change your entire life. It really will. Okay? Because what happens here, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You've got a rotated seam in the center that just causes the pants to sit off center to one side or the other. There you go, it's imbalanced. You've got a zipper with a flap, okay, on the side of it like this. Well, it's usually on the left side of pant designs like this at this time period. Today's the 27th of August, 2026. This is In the Image Clothing Company's main side. This video's title, keeping the crotch seam centered in pants. Anyway, this is not centered, and so what it does is hold the material off to one side. Wow, this isn't new. We've talked about this. There's videos about this before today's date, the 27th of August, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. In the Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification, okay? Cutting the little stitch. It's a little stitch. It's small, Lilo. So here's the thing. Shout out to Disney. We need to keep our pant crotch seams in the center so that you can do something like this. So that you can stand evenly with the feet. Look at my feet grip the ground, even that wide, right? The feet grip the ground. What a production, holy cow, okay? If the pant stitch is not in the center of the crotch, what you're gonna have is the inner leg muscles called the adductors working more on one side than the other side, okay? Adductors, muscles that pull the leg in. Well, you've got pant material that's just sitting imbalanced against one leg more than the other, and that's just causing those muscles to have more activation against them from the pant material. And now you're in a right-handed patterning. You got to keep that crotch stitch centered. Watch this. Drawstrings, it's just a rope. If you tie one side over the other in a rope around the body, you'll twist the body. But if you're right-handed, like 85 to 90%, give or take, of the population of human beings across the planet Earth in modern 2026, today's the 27th of August, this is In the Image Clothing Company's main side. The video's title, Keeping Crotch Stitch is Centered in Pants, okay? If we don't have a centered crotch stitch in the pants, we don't have even activation from both legs. But you've got an imbalance of activation in your legs, okay? This is one of the biggest things that'll do it. This little tiny stitch, I know it seems small. Lilo. Shout out to Disney. But if you don't cut this stitch out, if this is stitched over like this, then you've got the crotch stitch coming up and it's a whole inch and a half, 2 inches maybe even potentially off from the center of the rest of the crotch stitch. Okay, and you need 2 even sides because you've got 2 even legs. Okay, on Earth's vertical gravity pull, we got to stay standing up, or you're not going to. But if you're standing up like this, well, your body is not really using both sides. Chronic patterns of working damage to the body, permanent until addressed or fixed. So anyway, you need centered crotch stitches in your pants. This video is titled the 27th of August 2026. Keeping crotch stitches centered in pants. Okay, and so what happens is if you tie a drawstring one side over the other, you twist the entire body, okay? And now, the crotch stitch hanging with Earth's vertical gravity pull, mind you, okay? There's no kind of new information. It's physics. Universal laws outside of all of us that we don't get to decide or change as human beings is what we have to abide by. Being just this physical, mechanical machine placed on this rock in space we call Earth, Earth has a vertical pull to its gravity that meshes with the center line of our bodies, okay? But we've got 2 legs evenly opposing the center line of our bodies. And this crotch stitch needs to stay right in the middle. Wow. All right, so keeping crotch stitches centered in pants. This video's title, the 27th of August 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, doesn't happen if you twist one side of a rope over the other side and tie it in a knot. It moves the whole pants off to one side because you've got one side of the pants. Look, let's look at this as physics, not as some kind of opinion for some company I'm trying to have, if that's what you think. One side of a rope over the other side of a rope. You tie it underneath. Call it a drawstring. It's just a rope. You've got one side of something higher than the other side of something. A drawstring knot, a shoelace around the ankle, In the Image Clothing Company. These things are just ropes. And the thickness of the rope is how high one side's going to be over the other side. Okay, so you tie one side over the other, you twist the entire body. Shifting the pants off to one side, your crotch stitch moves off to one side, hits against the inner leg muscles called the adductors. Sensory activation to the nerve endings on the epidermis, the organ of the body we call the skin, transfers into the musculature's fibers, and poof, they activate. More on one side than the other. If we take the rope and we put the other side over first, and we tie it in a right-handed knot, 85%, 90% maybe, give or take, of human beings across the planet Earth in modern 2026 are right-handed. Moves the whole pants off to one side. Down the crotch seam, gravity doesn't pull it vertical anymore. But we rotate one side of a rope over the other, and now the whole pants are that thickness of the rope higher on one side than the other, and it moves the crotch stitch off to the side and presses it against the inner leg muscles. Sensory activation happens in the musculature fibers when the epidermis, or the skin of the body that is an organ, feels the pressure of the crotch stitch being moved off to the side against the inner leg muscle, and it activates more than the other. Now you're in a right-handed patterning. It's just a rope. It's just a rope. It's just a rope. Oh, it's just a rope. So we show the slipped lap knot, L-A-P-P, under In The Image Clothing Company. Find it where you find it. I'll do it up relatively close here. I'm not going to really explain it all that thoroughly, but this is what we call a slipped lap knot, okay? Shoot, I did it wrong. Hold on. I got a lot of stuff going on around me, as you can tell. So you grab it here, you pull it up, you put this in a loop underneath, up over the top, and then you pull it tight. Okay, that's it. The slipped lap knot. Okay, but anything you could possibly try to tie a knot, like to have it just nice and horizontal. Now this is a flat rope. Ideally it's more spherical, cylindrical, round, okay, but it's just horizontal at this point. There's a button there, and there's two sides of material going over each other in this pant design, but the horizontal surface of the planet Earth always remains. Before you could go up a hill or down a hill, he's back. It's actually a different car as far as I can tell. Very similar looking in ways. Here's the thing. Class dismissed, I guess, right? All right. Welcome to the war zone. Okay, there's a lot of things that can cause the crotch stitch of the pants to not stay centered, and if it doesn't, you will have different levels of musculature activation from one leg to the other on the inner leg muscles called the adductors that pull the leg in. And so that's what I'm saying with modern pant design like this, but anything that it ever is, if it's imbalanced, it's imbalanced, but something just like this, where this little stitch is here on the left side of the zipper, on the inside of the front of the pants, it's going to cause more musculature activation on the inner part of the left leg. So then we just stand on our left legs, and you look around in life and you see this. You see people standing on their left leg with their right leg not really supporting much weight. It's a right-handed patterning though. It comes from anything it comes from as well, but this will do it. Here's an airplane again. In the Image Clothing Company, our slogan is allowing the body to work. The point is the body works. The body grows by itself to do just what it does. Designed in the image of God to place onto the earth that God designed first. There's only one way the human body could ever work. And so what'll happen is you've got a lot of patterning getting created in your body if you don't have the center to to your body, meshing with the center to Earth's vertical gravity pull, and then adding a third thing, meshing the crotch stitch or seam to pants as well, all in the same location, just vertical with the vertical pull to gravity. It's just what it is. I mean, there's a center to the pelvis, there's two sides to the center, and that's where this musculature connects into. That's where the hip bones connect into, is on either side. When I say the hip bones, I mean the top of the upper leg, the femur, the femoral head into the acetabulum of the hip. This is an even opposing function happening. From two sides, if it can, and meaning it always will. There's nothing that's gonna not let the body work unless there is. I mean, the body is designed by God to work. That's why we have it. It's a mechanical machine to take us across the earth with, you know? It's a vessel. It's a body of flesh and bone and blood, fueled by food, lubricated by water. It literally is only the earth because we eat plants that grew from the earth, or we eat animals that ate plants that grew from the earth, and then that becomes the human being, and that's it. It all happens by itself, too. Well, God does it, you know. You got to give credit to someone for this complex machine. How does it do all that by itself? No, it doesn't. Not really, but we don't do it. You couldn't possibly take credit for that, or you're insane. I'm standing out in a field screaming at whatever this thing is what people might think. So I'm not trying to, you know, call people out. But you got to keep the crotch stitch centered in your pants. You have to. You have to. Keeping the crotch stitch centered in pants. The crotch stitch, the crotch seam. This video's title. Something like that, at least. 27th of August, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site. You don't have to care about clothing in the slightest bit, but it's physically placed on your physical body. There's only one way your bones grow and connect directly, through ligaments, and they'll never do anything else besides the only thing they could ever possibly do. It's impossible to get the human being to do anything besides how it grows to be. So this is one of the biggest things, you know, you got to have the center of your body stay in the center of your body. I mean, the extremities will come in and affect the body from the outsides of it, the hands and the feet. Over half of the body's bones are in the hands and feet, you know. But in the direct center, you've got a stitch, probably, almost certainly, in some kind of pant design. I mean, you could do it another way, sure, but then it's more like some kind of dress or skirt type thing, or a kilt, or a I could start listing off whatever. The point is, no matter what it is, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. We discuss where clothing sits on the body very clearly, because it does, with gravity. We've got different body shapes as far as the fat content that can or cannot be there, comes and or goes throughout life. But at the bone structure, how the body actually physically, mechanically operates, there's only one way the human body could ever possibly work. No possible opinion to it. I'm sorry if you think I have a claim. I don't. I have life-changing pieces of truth I'm documenting here. Doing out here too with a lot of people around so I can scream at them. Yeah. All right, check out the other 3 sides of In The Image Clothing Company if you'd like to. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, In The Image Clothing Company Music, In The Image Clothing Company Podcast with discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're on episode 216 as of today's date, the 27th of August, 2026. Yeah, deep insights on life. You don't have to be religious, but it's all just what it is before we could understand it. We're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There's a universal human design. Even if you want to think otherwise, every body has one, and everyone has a body. All right, more to say on this if and where, but no matter what you could ever possibly have changed in that crotch stitch from just hanging directly between the legs, I'm just saying you don't want it against your leg. You want it directly in the center because we have two legs. As I was saying, traveling down to 2 feet, evenly opposing the center line of the body, gripping the ground to support the whole body. And so gravity just needs to hang the pant legs evenly on either side of the center line of the body, and this crotch stitch, or the stitch going down the crotch of the two legs of the body, like you could say the crotch of a tree branch connecting into the tree trunk. There's a center to the two sides. Okay? Gravity's got to hang that stitch just right between the legs, otherwise imbalances. Okay? Musculature activation. Okay, so the state of Utah, the United States of America, In the Image Clothing Company, specifically St. George, Utah. Stick around. In-person events, things with the dogs, things for the environment. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing. I mean, I've shown a little bit in here, but rotated seams in clothing, In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. Collar seams and tops, In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, for example. But we discuss a lot of things. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in such depth you couldn't possibly dispute the information or the truth that the human body just grows by itself, and so there's only one way it could ever possibly work. Okay. I mean, you can think what you can think, and you can think you know better because you've gone to school or something and learned some kind of information that doesn't matter if it's not aligning with truth. Then none of us get to decide or change.